So you're going to rock and roll. Alrighty. Hey guys out there, welcome to this training, this course on how to transition from PT or bootcamp to your own highly profitable studio, presented by myself, David Bifster. That is me in my gym, laying the smackdown / information with my gym and my members. That was a program we were running, and we did a big seminar. It was a lot of fun. Me getting to stand up there and look awesome. I've always wanted a photo like that in front of people. It makes me feel more important than I am. But yeah, this course, how to transition from personal training or bootcamp to your own highly profitable studio, and really going to step by step go through how to do that. It's exactly what I've done, which is why I'll be teaching it. Yeah, it's exactly a journey. So I'm going to take you through that. And this course is going to be really everything I think you need. So as much as there's things like logistics around, alrighty, how do you open a studio? What do you need for space, equipment, the training, the model? There's obviously logistical side of that. But the other side is, I think, just as importantly, is teaching how to market, how to sell, how to grow it, the actual, business side of it, right? Because it's all well and good to have the information of, buy this barbell stand and here's the cheapest squat racks I know. That's cool. But if you don't know how to market people in the door, then that's kind of useless. And at the same token, if you're great at marketing and sales, but you don't understand how to set things up, you're going to cap your potential. So I'm going to take you through a bit of both, and it should be a lot of fun. But look, firstly, ready for the next step. I have the utmost respect for anyone, when you're watching this live or on replays, investing in this course and this program, what I'm teaching, because by definition, you're actually thinking bigger and believing you have more in you than a lot of people. And I'll tell you some stories as we go about people that I've met that I think just needed to think bigger, and that was the difference. But you obviously value learning. Number one, if you're watching this, which is great, you value growth. And I'm telling you now that those are the values of the people who reach the heights and the people who then get looked up to and like, oh, you must have been lucky or special or blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, like I wanted to learn, I wanted to grow. And that's what I value. And so if you 100% focus what I'm going to be teaching, you will be further ahead than about 90% of gym owners out there, if you ask me, especially when I talk to the sales and marketing stuff, because that's what I jam out on, and really accelerating your progress. So that's where we're at. Now, as much as that's cool, I do feel obliged, and I think it's important to share a little bit about my journey, because I was actually a uni dropout to studio owner now, and I business coach and consult to other gym owners and personal trainers around the world. So as much as I've done it myself with the gym, I have actually spent the better part of 18 months now coaching, consulting for others, and actually hearing about what other people struggle with. And it's been really fun to build that up. So I'm going to share a little bit about my journey because I think it's important. And this is also why I want to give you guys some belief, because I was just a struggling PT, happy with any clients when I started. I jumped into being a personal trainer at my local Good Life Health Club. I don't know if anyone here knows Good Life or worked at the Good Life, but the one I worked at is now Fitness First. No experience, no idea what I was in for. I only got the job. It's quite a funny story. I only got the job because I had an old cricket friend who was the manager at the gym. And they had ads up for the job on Seek, looking for a new trainer to join us at Good Life, work your own hours, make your own money, hype it all up. And I saw the ad on Seek, and I saw the guy who was like, messaged Scott. I was like, Scott, I used to play cricket with him. I went on Facebook and was like, hey, Scott, I saw you guys are hiring at Good Life. I'm looking for a job to get into the PT world. Is it still open? And he was like, mate, come on in tomorrow. Let's have a chat. And I just went in, and he was like, oh, Dave, how are you? I'm like, Scott, oh, mate, I'm great. Good to chat with you. 20 minutes later, he's like, cool. Do you want it? I was like, yeah, shit. Okay. Yeah. Why not? How hard can it be? And no knock on Scott, no knock on Good Life, no knock on anyone. I don't think it's very well communicated, the difficulty it can actually be running your own business, especially starting as a PT. I was 20 years old at the time, no business experience, I just turned 20, no business experience. It was almost negligent, I think, to not tell me what I was in for to a certain extent. But that's what they did. And so I started out going, oh, this must be easy. The gym just gives me clients and I just train them and I make lots of money. And I was scrubbing dishes on the weekends just to make any money before that. And I was like, in no time at all, replace all that. And I'm training people. But the first months were a grind. I battled to get any clients. And I would try every method possible to get anyone. And those methods included walking around the gym, pretending to clean. I used to scrub treadmills. And then I struck up conversations with members. That was a good one. I didn't have anything. I just approached members who I thought needed personal training, if you know what I mean, and got in a bit of trouble for that. So I tried a lot of very funny methods to get it. And it wasn't actually until one day I bumped into literally a business coach at a network marketing event. I dabbled in some network marketing because I needed money and I was struggling. And I bumped into this guy who's a business coach for personal trainers and gym owners. And I spoke to him maybe 5 minutes, but I could straight away tell this guy knew what I needed to know. And so I got his details. We booked a call later, and we're on this call, and he was like, cool, I can show you how to grow your personal training business. I know how to do it. I know how to sell and market it. I'm like, yeah, cool, let's do it. And he told me it was $4,000. Now, I'm a 20-year-old guy who I spent my last few dollars getting to this network marketing event just to meet with him. I was still scrubbing dishes on the weekends just to make any money because I wasn't making any money as a PT. Like, I was paying rent at the gym and making nothing. So $4,000, I'd never seen that much money in my bank account in my life. I don't think I'd ever cleared $1,500. And I decided to pull the trigger like any naive person would do. And 6 weeks later, I think it was, 6 weeks later, I had 4 times my client base, meaning I quadrupled my sale. I probably had 5 or 6 clients when I signed up with him, which was just making the rent at the gym, if that. And about 6 weeks later, I had like 20 clients, and it was amazing. And I'm cutting a bit of a long story short here, but that was the biggest turnaround. And then I made the money to pay off his program. He put me on a payment plan, so I didn't pay $4K up front. I didn't even know where to find that money. I'd lied to my parents, by the way. I didn't tell my parents about this, didn't tell my girlfriend about this, told them after the fact, which they did not like whatsoever. That my mum just went, where's all that money? Like, she had access to my bank account. The money's coming out of your account. Where is it? And I was like, yeah, I joined this business program, $4,000. Anyway, I just find this story hilarious, and hopefully you do too. I do that, and I finished the year, and I finished that program, and I was doing okay. I was doing pretty well, right, for being a gym. I was probably making $1,500, $2K a week now in money, which was pretty fucking cool for a 20-year-old who just was happy. I stopped working, scrubbing dishes, doing PT. I was pretty happy. I was actually at uni at the time as well. I had 1 year to go on my exercise science degree. I'd done 2 years, and my PT business is now doing pretty well. And I was back on the phone to this same business coach, and I went, mate, this is amazing. Thank you so much for what you've done. I've grown so much. And he was like, yeah, it's really cool. What's the next vision? I was like, I don't know, man. I'm stoked. I'm doing so well. And he goes, what do you really want to do? What do you really want to take this now? I was like, having a gym one day in my own studio, I think that would be amazing because I could do things my own way. I wouldn't be capped with my trading time for money. So that sounds really cool. But I'm going to finish uni, obviously. I got 1 year to go. I may as well get my degree and stuff. And he was like, dude, what's stopping you doing it now? I don't know. I don't know where to start. I don't have that much money in the bank, and I should finish my uni. And he goes, what excites you more in a year's time? Having that uni degree or having a successful studio to yourself? He knew my buttons. He knew what to say. And I still remember him saying, I was like, well, obviously the studio, man. That's way more exciting. And he's like, cool. Let's do that then. And he was a very good salesman. Let's just put it that way. So I decided to drop out of uni. I joined his 12-month mastermind program, which he told me at the time was $20,000. And I was like, holy shit. But again, it was a payment plan. I didn't drop 20K on the dot. It was a payment plan. I joined that. I dropped out of uni. Didn't tell my family again. Didn't tell them I was dropping out of uni. I told them after the fact. And 6 months after that initial, 6 months after that initial conversation for the first program, and about 3 months after dropping out of uni, I actually had signed the lease to the studio. And yeah, that's how I got there very quickly. I was still 20 years old at the time. And lo and behold, we have the gym. And 4 years, after 4 years, since then now, got over 200 clients, do about 40K a month revenue, which is pretty cool. I run about 3 to 5 hours a week of actual delivery with clients. So I've got my team that runs it, and I still love training people, but I just got different goals, different visions, like the coaching, the marketing, the business stuff. And I know that my time can be better spent, so to speak, than just training people. I still love training people, but that's what I've done in my business now. And I think it's important if you want to treat something like a business, it needs to, at the end of the day, be systemized. Otherwise, you don't really have a business, you have a job. And that's very harsh, some people to hear, but it's the truth. So there's a few more fun stories in that. That was a summarized version, and I'll share more details as we go. But look, I'm living proof that with the right guidance, the right mindset, the right discipline, if a 20-year-old kid with no business experience can do it, why the hell can't anyone else if you're willing to put in the work, willing to develop the right mindset? So everything I teach you is by the way, has been tested. I've done it myself nearly 5 years now since I did all that. it's been in the trenches and it's been done. So that's where I come from. Let me run you through what we're going to be going through. I'm not going to spend long on this kind of boring stuff, but like topic 1 today, we're just setting the foundations. Okay, today's the first lesson. So we're setting the foundations, okay, of exactly how you make this work. Second topic, how do you get your location? How do you set up? How do you launch that guy? Which kind of follows in topic 3, launching with a bang, the marketing, the sales, getting that going. And topic 2 and 3 are very intertwined because once you get that location, like you want to start marketing, and I'll talk about this. And then topic 4, how do you continue to grow it and scale it? How do you have the confidence to know how to put a team in place, what your marketing should be long-term, and all that cool stuff. So let's get into the foundations today, okay? What we're going to start doing before we start signing leases, before we get a logo made, we need to get the foundations right, and that's really important. We want to be set up for success before we begin, okay? Once we have this launch pad, then where everything we do is going to be a lot better. So really important, get the foundations. And this should be exciting. Okay, this should be exciting. It'll leave you inspired for the future if everything goes to plan. So when I think about what we're really doing here, I say foundations, but I look at it that we're setting the vision. Okay, we're getting clear on what is this going to look like when it's done well, when it's done right. We need to have that vision before we begin. The vision is so important, okay? This is an amazing quote. I've heard it a few times. I love it. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up wood. Don't drum up people, rather. Don't drum up people to collect wood, and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, I can't even say his name. Beautiful. I wish I could come up with that quote myself. I would write it on a wall somewhere, but it's a beautiful quote that really means the vision is what drives us. The vision is going to align the people you work with, the people that come into your business, you know, where you're going all the time. Make people seek the vision, okay? Good people don't sell things, they sell futures, right? They sell the vision to their team, to the people that come on board. And I can tell you, when you're in this launch phase, one of the biggest things when I'm thinking about the studio, right? The foundations, the whole thing. The people are going to buy into this a lot on the vision of what you're setting up. When you're standing in a warehouse and there's a lot of crap behind you and nothing's built and you've got the equipment still in boxes and you're painting the freaking offices, what is going to get people to want to follow you on that journey is going to be the vision, okay? That's what people are going to be inspired by and want to take part in that opening, want to take part in you in those first few months because they see the vision of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to bring to the community, okay? So before anything happens, we paint a picture of what it looks like completed. Your vision will drive you forward. Let that be your North Star. This is always what we're aiming for. It will unite your eventual team. Maybe you have a team now even. It's even more relevant then because you want to get them ready to go. But your clients and anyone who comes into contact with you. I've got people who never worked out at my gym, never paid me $1, never done anything, but they support my vision for the gym. They love what I stand for. In fact, I write a lot of marketing emails, and again, I share the vision on our emails. And I had a lady reach out to me who does magazine publications and stuff online, and she wanted me to write some stuff in a magazine for her because she was so inspired by what the vision was for my facility and what I'm trying to do with our community. And so again, there's a good expression. Please write this down. Write this down. Whoever has the bigger vision always wins. Whoever has the biggest vision always wins. What I mean by that is, again, the size of that vision, they'll come on board with you so much easier. And when let's say you want to go joint venture with a local physiotherapist, right? And you sit down, you're like, hey, I just thought we should connect and chat. You physio, I'm a gym, I reckon there's a lot in common. Let's talk a bit about the businesses, see if we connect. And they go, oh yeah, we're a physio and we've been here for 7 years and it's really good. We've got a good, client base and team and nice and steady. Tell us a bit about your gym. And you go, that's cool. I'm going to have 50 locations around Australia and we're going to be transforming 10,000 lives every single year and helping them be the healthiest version of themselves. You know what happens when that conversation dynamic goes on? The physio goes, shit, I need to work with this gym because they're going places. Pretty cool. And then you've got the power in that situation. Now, I'm not saying fabricate some nonsense just to make people want to get around you, but everybody wants to be a part of something that's going somewhere. So when you have this vision, you will attract people with that. So remember, he who has the biggest vision always wins. Really important. Now, when it comes to this vision, there's actually 2 parts to this, and people don't break this down very well. They're like, have a vision. Oh, yeah, that's fucking great. They don't actually communicate it and show how it works. there's two parts to the right vision. Part one is the dynamics. Okay, dynamics to me is things like, what's the why behind what you do? This is the emotional side of it. What's the difference you want to make in the community or maybe the world? What's driving you to take this career further? That's dynamics. Now, part two is mechanics. Mechanics is more about the business model. This is more logical, more numbers. What's the niche you want to work with? What's the type of training? How are you going to stand out? What are the numbers in your business? So you know it's going to be profitable, right? People, I'm going to talk about this, but it baffles me. People open businesses without learning the profitability margins of their business, and that's a nightmare. Again, I've coached gyms in Australia, around the world, and everything. We coach them. I go, hey, let's talk about your numbers. How many members you got? I got this many members. How many do you want? I want this many members. Great. What would that be bringing in? This much per month. Great. What are your expenses? This much per month. Right. So you're still barely making any money at capacity. Yep. Okay then. Don't do that, please. Let's talk about dynamics. So a quick drink of water. So dynamics is about the emotion. It's about getting clear on this driving force internally. For me, the best way to do this is the right reflection questions. It's going to help pull out the motivation you have within you and that reasoning behind what you got in you. So reflection questions for me, things like, what got me into the industry in the first place? I told my business story before, but I got into fitness because I was overweight as a kid. I was the fat kid growing up, right? I was the cliche in the soccer team. I finished fitness last. I never wanted to bloody join in the runs. I didn't like buying clothes. I didn't get made fun of a bit at school. I'm not going to make a sob story like I got fucking bullied and beat up all the time, but people made comments and people did definitely I got a little bit of that. Not crazy. I wasn't depressed my entire childhood, but it definitely was always this thing that got to me. And then I got into the gym about 16 and a half years old. My mum, to this day, so grateful. My mum paid for a personal trainer for me just once a week. That was all she could really justify. Once a week with a trainer, and he just trained me for half an hour, and he gave me some stuff to do on my own. And that was the catalyst for me. And I, over time, was seeing my trainer going, this is freaking cool. Like, look, this guy, I looked up to him. I respected him. I admired him. And it was one of the things that made me go, you know what? I definitely think I can see myself going down this road. And so that's what got me in industry. So I have a real passion for helping people who are actually struggling. I have much more of a passion helping people who are overweight, who are unhappy, who want to change that than I do helping someone bench press 200 kilos or run a marathon. I've done that. Like, I've done performance stuff myself and all that jazz, but it wasn't the thing that really changed my life like that did. And so my vision in my business and my gym is a lot around, like, I love helping people who struggling with their weight, struggling with their diet, get that shit right, start training, start losing weight. That's what I like hearing, those lifestyle changes, okay? So here's the other professional ones. What do I love about helping people? I just ran through mine and without even getting cued by the slideshow here. What do I love about helping people? What is it that lights me up? What is it when I've had those conversations with clients, I'm like, this is why I do what I do, and capture that. Okay. Why is this dream? Why is having the studio? Maybe you've got one, you're doing this for extra learning and you want to reignite the vision, or you're trying to open that first one, like most people probably watching this. You know, why is this dream so important? You're willing to work harder than 95% of other people to achieve it. And I'm not going to BS anyone and tell you this shit is easy. It takes a lot of work, especially up front. But it is one of those things that eventually the work pays off with, like, it's like investing. It's like it starts small, you put a lot of work in, it takes time, then over time it starts paying you off for your hard work. But I will tell you right now, opening a studio takes a lot of work in that, especially that first couple of months. It is crazy. It is frantic. You've got to learn to love it, and you've got to learn to go, you know what, this is worth it. My dream is big enough. I'm going to achieve this. Okay. So I want you to do those reflection questions. You're welcome to pause the video, write them down, take a photo, do these questions, because you will get to the core of why you are doing what you're doing. And I know this seems almost airy-fairy, not practical, but it'll make a huge difference on the culture and the marketing for your business. Okay. There is a famous book, and this is just on this topic, called from Simon Sinek. Don't know if you've heard of him. This book's pretty popular, but maybe people haven't heard of it. Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Okay. If you haven't heard of it, really good book. I think everyone should read it. I don't think it's not like the all-encompassing business book that is going to change your life, but it's a really good one if you're struggling with this kind of like, what's my meaning behind what I'm doing? Okay, and really Simon's whole point, I'll spoil the whole book for you right now. He talks about that outside consumers prospects, people might be interested in doing business with you, they first connect with why you do something. That's the quickest way to connect with someone outside, and then with the how and the what. Okay, that's his thesis of this whole book. So again, I've spoiled it a little bit, but it's still worth reading. A lot of people go, hey, we do small group training, and we do that with our weights, and that helps you get toned and strong. And we do that because I want to make a difference in the community. That's kind of starting with the what, then going how, then going why we do it. Simon talks about we start with why, and straight away people have this emotional thing, this reason to connect with why you're doing it. Even if they don't want to do business with you, even if they don't agree with the how or the what, they still agree with the why. So you start with your why, going, look, again, I gave you my example. Reason I do what I do, I battled for 16 and a half years with my weight. Okay, I didn't know I was overweight at 1. I remember in year 3 at school, year 3 was the year I had awareness I was overweight as a kid. It was the first time a kid made a comment about my stomach. Okay, so from year 3 to year 11, 8 years. I know what it feels like to not like what you see in the mirror. That's my why. My why is to help other people overcome that and make them happy within themselves. And my team knows that mission. My clients know that mission. And I'm not saying every time you ever do a social media post, you tell your freaking life story, but you can communicate that enough times that people start understanding that. And a lot of people know that I struggled with my weight when I was younger, and that's why I want to help people. And then how do we do that? We do that with our small group training, with our nutrition coaching, and what? Well, you should do our 6-week program, right? Start with why this stuff matters. It may take a bit of time to really connect. Some people connect with this straight away. Some people are like, yeah, whatever, man, tell me about how to run an ad. All good. The vision is important, and I want you to get to that, okay? The last thing I will say with this before we get practical, different is better than better. That's one you should write down. Different is better than better. What I mean by that, it's easy to look at businesses that are further ahead than you and ask yourself, how can I compete with them? How can I compete with F45? They've got 1,000 studios and everybody knows their name. Their workouts are amazing. They have TVs and blah, 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 blah. Sure. How can I compete with these businesses that are so established? They're better than me. Look at how far behind I am. Different is better than better, okay? You can appeal to different people by being different. By knowing yourself, by knowing your why, knowing what you stand for, it will help you stand out. And you don't need to then have the highest tech stuff. You don't need to then have this branding of like thousands of gyms or whatever. People will connect with you because it's different. And think about this for a second. If there's someone out there right now sitting on their couch, eating Doritos and drinking Coke and unhappy with their body and not exercising, they haven't found a solution yet. So even though F45 might be freaking better by whatever definition you want, or some other gym or some other thing might be better than what you do, it's not working for this particular person. Otherwise, they'd be there. So for some reason or not, that person hasn't found a solution. And if you can then appeal to them, you can get their business. They come to you, and it doesn't matter. They won't even know that another place could be quote unquote better, because they come to you because you stand out and you're different. And so that's the thing to remember. Different is better than better. If you stand out, if you know what you stand for, if you are just unique and you are yours, I know that's cheesy, be yourself. But if you can get good at expressing and communicating a little bit more about your reasoning, your core, okay, you will attract different people than other businesses, and there is always a market for that. This is not in my slides, but if you want to read something interesting, go read 1,000 True Fans. I think it's by Kevin Kelly. Write that down. 1,000 True Fans. And it talks about this concept of you don't need to be the best in the world at different things, but if you're different, you can find your 1,000 True Fans, he calls it, and that's enough to make more than enough of a great living off those 1,000 people. So really cool stuff. I'll give you a quick second to digest that while I take a drink of water. Exciting stuff. Let's talk now the mechanics. We've talked about getting clear on our vision, our why, all that stuff now. Let's talk a little more about the mechanics, which for me, again, is just more the logical, more the delivery, the setup of this business and things. So obviously this matters too. And now we need to figure out our actual niche, need to figure out the model, how we do all this stuff. All of that, of course, matters. And you know what's interesting about all this? I winged most of this when I first opened. I winged it all. I was like, I'll do group training. Okay, cool. My business coach at the time was like, have a niche, work with women. It's like, oh, okay then. So I opened this women's only studio. And I'm not saying everything he did, I just was like, yeah, whatever, man. Like I made the decision myself, but I rushed so much of this, and I didn't really know the numbers that well. I didn't know how we're going to deliver it. I flew by the seat of my pants. Now, there's a lot to be said about the concept of like, ready, fire, aim, where you just do things and you just figure it out as you go. There's a lot of place for that, and some people need more of that. But sometimes it's important. Sometimes we do need to know the numbers, okay? The setup, the make the maths work, and all that stuff too. So let's dive into that, okay? Here's a big one that I get a lot, and I'm sure people are curious about. Do you go more personal training? Do you go more group-based? Now, you've obviously got a business already, I'm assuming, if you're watching this, and you probably do one or the other, or do a bit of both, one more than the other potentially. Should you just keep doing that? Potentially, yes, but let me run you through, I guess, the pros and cons of both, okay? Is one better than the other? Can you offer both? I want to break that down for you because I think this is a really important starting point, okay, on what you want to do. So let's talk about a PT studio, which is the traditional, like the fitness industry started more PT than it did group stuff. So let's say you want to do mainly a PT studio. There's a few pros that come with that. You generally can get better client results working PT, okay, because you can do the right exercises, the right reps, the right sets, much better control of that. You get better client results. Generally, PT studios have higher retention because you build such a good connection with the person. Okay, retention is just a result of relationships. That's a very good little thing you could write down as well, just in terms of any business, but especially in fitness. Retention is the result of relationships. So when you one-on-one with someone, do you build better relationships? Of course you do. You've got that time to chat. You learn about Susie's 3 kids and her whole life problems, and sometimes you're the counselor. We all know that. Better retention. Higher average dollar value per client, right? Because they're going to pay more for PT. So you need less clients as such to make more total revenue. Now, we're going to get to the profitability of PT in a second. You've got to pay staff, obviously. But you make more revenue per person, okay? Higher total revenue capacity. If you can fit 10 people in a gym training, you'd rather those 10 people paying you $100 for the hour versus paying you 50 like in a group. So you can actually make, if you had the same space, filling it with PT would make more total money most of the time than groups, unless you can charge an absurd amount for groups. I'll talk about pricing as we go. And you can generally manage in a smaller space. Obviously, if you have groups and you've got a tiny gym, you're super capped with the space, and you can only do so much in the space. PT, not such a big deal because you charge more per sort of hour person's there, and you can fit more into a smaller space at first. I've been to studios that are absolute tiny holes in the wall, but they do very well for themselves because they don't need to do that many because they only have tiny equipment, and they just train 3 to 5 clients at a time with 3 to 5 trainers. So cool. Now, is there some cons with it? Of course. Main thing is you are going to have trainers earlier on if you want to scale it. Now, if you just want to do it yourself, absolutely go for it. But it's a bit of like, what's the point of having a studio if you're going to train people yourself? You may as well just do that at a gym, pay half the rent. So let's assume you got a PT studio. Yes, you run it on your own for a while, maybe just to build up the cash, make it work. But you are going to need more trainers earlier on than in, say, a group scenario, just to keep up with the clients. You can only work so many hours in a week, of course, before you totally burn out. So you're going to have to get more trainers. Is that an easy thing? Not necessarily. And you're going to have to potentially train them up on being good enough to deliver the service you want to service. So you've got to consider there's a little bit more of that leadership, that hiring earlier on in a PT studio to make it work, unless you want to do all the delivery, of course. Harder client acquisition at a higher price point. Yes, PT is a better service than groups, and most people understand that. End of the day, though, you are still asking for a little more money off people. So it can be a little harder for client acquisition in terms of strike rate. Like, signing up 25 group clients in a month is very doable, and I've done it many, many times. Signing up 25 PT clients in a month, just a little bit harder because you're asking for more money, and at the end of the day, some people just don't want to do that. They're not going to, things like that. The overall margins per person are a little lower due to wages. What I mean by that, group training, I have 10 people in a group. They're paying, let's use just session by session, but $20 a session, $200 for the hour, and I pay my trainer $40 for that hour. I make $160. If he's doing one-on-one and that client's paying $100 and I pay the same $40, obviously I only make $60 now. So the margins generally are lower. Obviously in group training, if you had 2 in a group, the margins would be better in PT, but generally margins are lower. So you might have a lot more revenue, but you're going to be paying a lot in wages. And that's just really important to consider when we look at the numbers. I'm going to go through the numbers in a second. The other one that is a little bit less talked about is staff turnover can be catastrophic, okay? Meaning if you've got a trainer who's killing it with 30 clients, There's the okay way of them leaving, which is they decide to move on and everyone's relatively happy and you pass on clients to another trainer. Some will just leave because, again, they've got the relationship with the old trainer. That is not great in itself. Even worse is if they potentially take clients. And should you have non-competes in your agreements, and I'll give you some agreements as we go through this course. Of course, you can have non-competes, but I've just heard so many horror stories of trainers who do the math that if they took their clients and their clients paid them, how much money they would make. So when you're trying to scale and grow this long term, you really need to realize you've got to really look after your team well, especially in one-on-one, because again, people realize very quickly that they could take these clients and do it. I'm not saying you're going to get trainers like that all the time, but just staff turnover can potentially be a little more catastrophic. If you've got a group training program, chances are people aren't all training with the same trainer all the time, so the relationships aren't as strong and all right, if that trainer leaves, I'm out. I wouldn't train here, because they like all the trainers. They get a chance to be with all the trainers. So again, just giving you a cool perspective on all this. We'll talk about a little bit more as we go. Group mainly studio. What are the pros of that? Opposite to last time, less staff, less wages needed at first. I ran my studio on my own for, I think, 6 months, 9 months, 6 or 7 months on my own completely. I did everything. I ran every class a week, and I didn't need to pay a single dollar in wages. I couldn't afford it, to be honest, because I was still struggling. But you can get away with that. I was probably running 30 to 35 sessions a week of group training. And yeah, was it tiring as fuck? Yes. Was it draining? Yes. But can you do it in groups? Absolutely. And I got us to about 60 to 70 members before I even hired anyone. There's no way I'm training 60 or 70 one-on-one clients a week on my own. Okay. And again, yes, there's the money side of it. Anyway, we can talk about that. Lower price point does mean a little bit easier signups, like I mentioned before. There's just a little bit of a bigger sort of market for people at a slightly lower price point. Even though, yes, group training doesn't seem as valuable as PT, of course. So some people, though, group training is, and we'll talk about sales as we go on this course on how you can sell groups just as easy, or make people feel like it's awesome. It's a little bit easier to create buzz and community feel. So here's the thing with PT. Is people are all separated. When you do a group, though, everyone comes in, they train together, and you guys will know this stuff, I'm sure, but you can definitely create a little bit more of a buzz and community in groups a little bit easier, and that is important at a facility. You want people to feel like they're going to a second home. Now, group mainly studio, are some cons? Absolutely. You need a bit more equipment generally, because we're trying to train 10, 15, 20 people at once, and you need a little bit of a bigger space because you just got to fit everyone in. Is there more skill with running groups? I actually think there's more skill with groups than PT. And it depends who you're training in PT, but 10 general population people in a group is much harder than one general population person in front of you, all things even. So it takes a bit more skill where you set up. So if you're a PT right now and you're like, group sounds really cool, but I haven't done much group training, you're just going to have to learn how to set up groups. And there's obviously tons of courses, tons of things you could do to learn that very quickly. But yeah, and then lower total revenue amounts. There should be a T there, but just roll with me. You do actually make more total revenue PT, as I said before, same number of people in the space. PT, they're probably paying more. So the total revenue amount is fractionally lower, but again, there's ways to consider. So I just want to give you a big picture. There's no right answer, because you might be watching this and you've run PT at the moment. You might be watching this, you've done boot camp. And so you've already got experience with one or the other. So just trying to give you a big picture perspective as we go. Quick bit of water. Can you do a hybrid approach? Absolutely. We do some groups, some PT. This definitely works too. But once again, you kind of look at this like staffing now continuum. You're going to need, the staffing to do that. So you get sort of the best, sort of some good, some bad. My recommendation is pick one main focus first. If you're going to do PT, awesome. Maybe you've already got PT built up now. You take your clients, you hire a trainer or two straight away, start filling them up. Okay, awesome. Go with PT. Or if you've got a boot camp, you want to turn it into a group training program in studio, excellent. Let's focus on groups and let's build that first before we start getting fancy and trying to hire someone to do PT. And then you got to sell PT. And then it's like, do I fill my groups? Do I fill my PT? I got to train them both at the same time. Pick one, and you can always do the others as you go. If you do PT for a while, you can always add in the group sessions, have that as another option, or add that to people's PT. Or if you start with groups, you can always then carve out some PTs and hire people and hire group trainers who then do PTs outside of group hours. You can do it both, but just have one main one to start with. Okay, just go, you know what? Let's get groups. Let's just fill this. It's much easier to sell one thing all the time. Trust me. So model, really cool. A quick thing with groups. This is very important. And this comes back to what I said before about people who set up a business and don't even look at how it's going to make any money. The dangerous middle, okay? You either want to go small groups, higher price, or quite large and moderate then / cheaper, call it whatever you want, but a lot of people are not. There is a dangerous middle, okay? The small and high price, you're looking at like 4 to 8 in a group. Some would call that semi-private training, call it whatever you want. It's smaller group stuff, it's more private. And you could probably charge anywhere from $77 to $117 per week. I just like the 7s. It could be $79, $119, sure. I just do 7s with pricing a lot. So roll with me. That can work nicely. Now you can go large and then again, the cheaper or moderate, anywhere from 16 to 33 plus in a group. And then I would be charging $37 to $57 per week for that. Okay. You know where you don't want to land though, is you don't want to land in like 6 to 16 in a session capacity. Okay. And a price point of like $27 to $57 a week. And a lot of people land here. It's you know what, if you don't know any better, you don't know any better. But my first business coach pushed me to start with I started with the kind of lower group, small groups, higher price, which is good. You need less signups to make money. And then I've actually transitioned now to a bit of both. We actually have some of the smaller group, higher price, and we have some bigger group, cheaper. So price point, $27.57 a week is the danger zone. People land here, and even when they sort of get close to capacity, they're not really making all that much profit, which is the problem. So yeah, that's not good. Let's just do some maths. 15 clients per class, 6 classes a day at $50 a week, right? So let's just say you have 90 clients. Could you fit a little bit more? And maybe let's just work off the numbers for this for now. 4.5K, 4,500 per week with that, right? Your rent could easily be $750 to $2,000 a week. You got to pay maybe some staff if you're going to help with any classes. If you want to run every class yourself, you should be paying some marketing, whether that's online or offline. You're going to pay tax, of course, and all that. You can do the math. You're probably not taking home a gigantic wage at that point in time. When you actually factor in a lot of things, and you're working like 6 classes a day, you're probably working 6 to 7 hours a day, 5, maybe 6 days a week in the business, not including sales, marketing, all other stuff. A lot of work. Okay, let's do some other examples. With that though, you've either got to create bigger classes. If that's like what you're thinking, you've either got to create bigger classes at that point, so you can fit more people at the same time to increase your total capacity, or you decrease the session size and increase price substantially. So let's say you've got that same size space. You'd be better off running 3 semi-private classes at 4-on-1. So you only need 12 in the gym at a time. And your capacity might be, say, 70 clients a week now, based on 5 to 6 sessions a day, fit 12 in at a time, 70 capacity, and they're paying $97 a week there, price point. Now you've got $6,900 per week revenue, right? And yes, you're paying a few trainers to do some sessions there, all good. But even still, if you wanted to run most of those, you could run a lot of those. You can see the difference really quickly with pricing, So really important to avoid that dangerous middle. Either go a little bit smaller and charge more, or go a bit bigger and charge less, but don't be falling in the middle. If you're already doing a boot camp, then look, going to groups would make sense. And if you currently do PT, doing PT would make sense. You can easily convert one to the other though. Okay, I was actually doing mainly PT out of my other gym, and I had a few small groups set up. So what I did is I came to my studio, I kept those small groups going, and then I marketed hard to fill the groups. And all my PT clients, I tried to convert them from PT to my groups. And I had about an 85%, 90% switch over rate, because I was like, I'm opening the studio. We're going to actually be specializing in group training. I know I've done PT with you for 6 months. I think you'll love the groups. How's this sound? Let's try out PT. Try out the groups. And if for whatever reason it's really not for you, you don't love it, then we can go back to PT. But hey, if you do the groups, by the way, you're going to save a bit of money, and you're going to get to meet other people and make some fun. What do you think? And again, 90% said yes. About 10% were like, I love one-on-ones. How dare you? Don't leave me. They've got attachment anxiety to me. And we did one-on-ones for a bit, and I kept trying to work on them. So you can do a bit of both, and you can switch over. So don't feel like you're limited. So you got to kind of figure out, like, I guess, again, what do you do best? Do you have one of these that really speaks to you more than the others? I know some people love doing PT, and they with their hearts set on PT. Awesome. Go for that. If you love groups, go groups. You can make them both work. There are examples of both working right now. So just write down what your gut thinks from watching this. Just pause it or take some time in a second and just go, you know what? Maybe you already had this decided before I even did this video. If so, great. I gave you some perspective. If not, What does your gut say is going to be the best type of setup for now? Remember, you can always change. Nothing's set in stone. You just open your second gym. That's PT. If that one's grouped right, I'm stirring. But yes, write down what your gut says as we move on. Next question now. The model is one thing. The actual niche and the person that we're trying to help is another. Okay, and this is a really important question. Who do you help? Who is the person that you are going to help? Another one you should definitely write down because it is important as all hell. A message to everyone is a message to no one, right? If you help everybody, you're not helping anyone particularly well. So we need to understand our niche. A message to everyone is a message to no one. You need to decide what problem you solve for what person. Okay, this is difficult at first, and I didn't get this for a long time, so we'll go through it, but just understand this takes a bit of time to really understand what we're talking about. I'll keep it as simple as possible. When it comes to like this is called niching, right? Okay, it's an actual niche. Who do we work with? I'll break it down here in just to a couple of main categories of who you can help to keep it simple, and then I'll talk a little bit about the theory. There's two main niches, okay, for most studios. You've got body composition and kind of transformation, if you want to call it that, for general population, okay? Meaning you're really selling them on, we're going to help you get a better body, get a bit better fitness, yeah, but help you feel good in yourself, enjoy working out, and transformation. Don't just think transformation like lose weight, transform their lifestyle. Now you're exercising, right? You're selling these people on this new lifestyle as well. Think of something like Vision Personal Training would be a good one if you know Visions. You know, they're really about, hey, you come to us, we're going to get you in awesome shape, lose weight. And Vision's actually good. They do a bit of like performance where they have their clients do marathons and have their clients do runs and all that sort of stuff. All of that's pretty cool too. But not many people go to, like, you don't go to Vision and pay like $120 a week for PT just to run a marathon. You generally go there because you want to, again, body composition, lose weight, transform, and that's what people sign up for and will pay a lot of money for. So like they pay like $120 for like 2 sessions of like 30 minutes. So Vision knows what they're doing with that high price model. Your other niche is a little more performance or focusing on your workouts kind of thing for general pop. Simple examples, think CrossFit, even think F45. Now, I know F45 does challenges. Yes, they do challenges to transform, but F45 has mainly made its branding and name around our workouts are the best workouts you'll see. And we do these crazy functional things, and it's 45 minutes, and you're going to be blah, blah, blah. And we've got athletes who do it. They're a little more on the performance side. CrossFit's obviously a lot more performance side as well. I'm trying to think. I have one more example. It's just slipped my mind. Sorry, even like Barry's Bootcamp. I don't know if anyone's seen. No, so it's Orange Theory. Maybe you've heard of Orange Theory. Anyone in the US? Orange Theory is mainly in the US, but their branding is like the best 1 hour workout on the planet. Right, best 1 hour workout on the planet. It's okay. It's cool. But that's what they're selling. Get it? Like they're selling the workout. And their workouts are like this blend of you do really 30 minutes of hard cardio, you do 30 minutes of weights. It's a good example of branding. Again, if you want to study like branding and marketing, look at the businesses that are doing quite well because there's a thing to be learned everywhere. But at the end of the day, this is kind of the two main niches people fall into. Okay, and you can make either work. I've got a really good friend who runs a gym called Body Coaching High Performance. And actually in my area as well. And again, high performance, right? Do they do some challenges and do they put up some before and after photos on their Instagram? Yes, they still have people who probably come a little bit for that, but he attracts people who like want to train hard, want to set some PBs and things like that. And maybe they're training at the moment and that's what they want to do. I want you to just keep in mind, you'll get a little more percentage of people for body composition and transformation niche who are not training, and a little more people who are in the performance workouts niche. They're generally going to be training a little bit. Just generally people are already training, want their performance. Like no one goes from like the couch to like, I want to squat my body weight, right? They go from the couch to, I want my clothes to fit better. Once their clothes fit better and they're already training, now they might be like, yeah, I really want to get stronger. I want to get leaner. I want to get like fitter and do a snatch or something. So just keep in mind when we talk about niche, if you're going to help someone who's like body composition orientated or transformation, you're probably working with percentage of people who are either not exercising, not really into it that much, or they are, but they're just like, they're dabbling in it. They've got a gym membership. They kind of go, they don't really go hard. Whereas performance workouts sort of niche, you get more people who are training. They're already at a gym. They may be following some generic program, or they may be doing something, and they want to step it up a little bit more. And then they see this CrossFit gym. They're like, oh my God, CrossFit, that looks so cool. Oh my God, is that person deadlifting 150? Oh my, I don't even go down the weight section of the gym. I just do the machines. You're going to attract people like that, but not many people go from the couch to CrossFit. So some people do, but again, I'm talking about marketing a little bit more long-term and mass here. Now, can you work with athletes or competitors and have that as more of a niche? You certainly can. Like literally either the above you can do for athletes. And there's a gym in my area. It's like very powerlifting focused. That's cool. I know gyms that are like, we train competitors and competitors go there. That's totally cool. But it's a little bit harder because those people who are at that level, a lot of them do know what they're doing in the gym on their own. So you've got to be quite high expert authority to get them to pay you money to do it. So I would say if you're going to go down that road as a niche, you'd want to have a reasonably good following or some sort of confidence in your own marketing ability to get clients in those niches before jumping in. Because we think in fitness, like everybody loves fucking powerlifting or getting on stage. That is a very small piece of the pie. The big piece of the pie is the two people above, general population people who either want to look a bit better with their clothes off or want to be able to run 10Ks without puffing. Like that's what most people want. So just when it comes to the main niches to work with, that's what I would be focusing on. The bottom one, again, if you're going to do that, build an online following, like go hard on like Instagram and Facebook ads and all sort of shit. Build your following around that stuff first. And then when you open a studio, you'll already have people that see you as the expert and authority. So really important stuff with the niche. Now, end of the day, business is about numbers, okay? It's about making money because that's what we're here to do business. So we're going to dive into some of the starting numbers just to get your head into it, okay? Next lesson will be more in depth even on numbers, but I'm going to go into a decent amount here. Okay, big question. How much do I need to start? Very common. Every time I talk to someone, what do I need to start with a gym? Cool. There's no one answer. There's no one answer. A huge factor is your ability to get loans from the bank. So I'll give you my perspective, okay? And by the way, loans are going to be determined by your current business revenue, years in business. You may be a loan expert and you know all the loans you can get. Fantastic. If you're like me, I knew sweet fuck all about loans when I started. So I was like, oh, cool. What determines whether they give me a loan? And they're like, that you actually make money and show stuff. I'm like, that's a problem. So perspective for you, for me. I opened my first studio. I didn't get any loans and I had about 20K, give or take. I just saved from, again, my business was doing okay. I saved for those few months. I went like hard as I could to save that up, and I just made it. Yeah, I did mine as tight as you could possibly do it, but I did it totally on about 20K. Okay, now where did all that go? You're gonna have to pay a bond to get any lease unless you plan on buying the building, which I'm not going to talk about buying the buildings. I just don't think it's going to really hit home with that many people to go and buy a commercial space. It'd be a huge, if you want to buy the building, go for it. But I'm going to talk about, for most people, realistically, you're going to lease and rent. You're going to have to pay a bond. Your bond is going to be at least a month's rent. Sometimes I ask for 2, and you have to pay your first month's rent. So I put 9,000. I was about 3,000 a month in rent. It was first 2 months bond, and then my first month up front as well. I spent 3K on the facility, painting it and all that stuff, like a few bits of handyman work, painting it. I dropped about 8,000 on the floor and the equipment. Flooring alone can set you back a fair bit. I spent about 2.5, 3K on flooring, and then 5K, your squat racks, your bars, your dumbbells. I did it bare bones, very bare bones. Okay, I didn't get a lot of fancy stuff. I got a few squat racks, a few bars, dumbbells, kettlebells, med balls, skipping ropes, boxing gear. I think I got boxing gear actually. Pretty bare bones stuff. And my facility, to give you perspective, is about a 200 square meter facility, give or take. So that's like, how many could I fit in that? I could fit about 16. I could fit just on 16, maybe in a group max in the gym. I know people who have squeezed like 16 people into a smaller space than that. So you could fit a little bit less in. But the way I set mine up, it was about that, because we didn't actually, all the 200 square meters wasn't training space either. So just perspective, that's what I managed to do. Now, I know people who borrow 30 to 150K from the bank for business loans. It's quite common. I went bare bones, 1, because I didn't know how to get a loan. 2, I didn't have any financial anything behind me, so they wouldn't have given me a loan. So I just went bare bones and minimal equipment. Okay, so just perspective here. I know people have done 6-figure fit outs, right? 6 figures worth of equipment versus touch ups to the gym. Do you need to go to that extent? Maybe, maybe not. My advice would be to start small, because here's how I look at it. All of that extra money you put on those equipment and facility, it's not really going to be the reason that bums on seats come in. And I'm sorry to break it to people who have spent shitloads of money on their facility. You will get some people, sure, But this is the thing with all that is if you try to compete on that, like big commercial gyms are gonna crush us with that. Like they have shitloads bigger budgets than us. They're gonna have nice bathrooms, nice amenities, more parking, better equipment, blah blah blah. And so you're not gonna win people over on that. Now someone might come in wanting your transformation, and then it's like, oh wow, it's actually really nice. Whoa, laptop's almost dead. I'm gonna charge my laptop. That would have been a disaster. My laptop almost died. People might come in for your transformation, and like the fact that you got nice bathrooms. Oh, that's cool. You got nice showers and cool equipment. That's great. But it's not going to be the real thing that drives you. And that's why my advice is to start small. Okay. You can always build more equipment. You can always redo the bathrooms. You can always do that stuff. But if you're not getting your basic marketing, sales, acquisition going with a bare bones facility and a just okay looking facility, you're not going to get it going with a great facility. Trust me on that. Cool. Other side of the equation is how much you have coming in revenue-wise, okay? I would say rule of thumb, you shouldn't be opening a studio unless you can cover the expenses from day one, okay? Like don't open it. You need to build up your business more wherever the hell you're doing right now. And again, if you can't get clients for PT or bootcamp now, having a studio, it will not be much easier. You might get the odd person's like, oh my God, a gym, but there's a gym on every corner. It's not novel enough these days to drive people. So keep that in mind that you want to have enough revenue coming in. So let's run through some sample numbers then. Okay, let's get pretty practical with this. Small to moderate facility. Again, I paid about $3K per month. Okay, I was in an industrial area. I'll talk about that in a second. I'll get to that. Equipment loans. Let's say you do end up getting a bit of a loan for equipment. Let's say it's a smallish loan of like $25,000, and you're going to pay that off over 2 years. You're paying $1,000 a month, right? Over 2 years. So you've got a fair bit of equipment. You've got 25K of equipment, beautiful, off and running. You probably need a budget around about $1,000 of marketing per month. I'm just telling you like it is. If you want to keep acquiring customers, you probably need to do a little bit of spending each month on something, whether that's on offline stuff, which is probably not as potent. Online marketing, I spend more than that now. I won't scare you with my numbers, but yeah, I would just be budgeting $1,000 a month, especially to get you off the ground and running. Especially, you can have insurances. About $300 per month is kind of realistic for insurances. I think I paid $250 for my first few years, and now it's a bit more because I've got workers' comp and all sorts of stuff. But ballpark $300. Internet, phone, just basics, $500 per month. Trust me, you have to fix equipment. You're gonna have to do touch-ups, and you're gonna pay a few things. Let's just ballpark that about $5,800 per month expenses. Just a sample. You might have less rent, more rent. You might have less loans, more loans. Blah blah blah. $5,800. It may seem like a lot straight away, and I'm doing it monthly, which makes it like a bigger number. But it's pretty standard. Okay, if you're running a gym, pretty standard to have those expenses. Now those numbers will vary with the size of the facility. I have some clients I coach. They have pretty small facilities. $2,000 a month is their rent, right? So that's a little bit less, but they're pretty tiny. And I've got a client who's in shopping centers, and they got like $10,000 per month rent, which again, I wouldn't recommend you doing that because again, start small, build it up. Yeah, trust me. So you could go as 5 to 10K per rent. Equipment loan size. I mean, shit, if you want to get 150K worth of equipment, do a crazy 6-figure fit out and get the nicest rigs and the best everything and 17 assault bikes and 7 rowers. And 3 ski ergs and anything else you want to get that looks amazing, 7 TVs. You know, you might spend shitloads of money and bet you could get a loan, might be 2.5K per month, right? Or you might get away with none. So there's going to be a few factors, but I'm just giving you some ballpark figures to play with based on how you want to go about doing it and what looks good for you. As you solidify the vision for the size and the type of training you want to do, and you begin to speak to real estate agents, you'll get a good idea of these numbers as we go. But I'm just trying to cover a lot of the bases right now for you. So I'd look at the current business profit. And make sure you can cover it from day one. So let's say it's around about 6K per month. Well, I hope you're making 6K per month profit now, so you can cover that from day one. So knowing that, and also just know that as you do grow the business, expenses can climb with it to a certain extent. So yeah, main one is going to be staffing because you're going to need more people, but sometimes software, more equipment, things like that. So the expenses can also climb. They're not going to be fixed there. Okay. Last bit of numbers, a lot of cool stuff I'm throwing at you. Let's talk about potential revenue and profit as we set this vision. I'll do a few examples for you, both group-based and PT-based. Hope you like maths because we're going to do some maths, fun stuff. Guess what? You want to succeed in business, you got to learn a bit of maths to get comfortable with it. So let's talk about a bigger group training business model. You've got 100 to a 200 square meter facility in size, somewhere around that, okay, ballpark. Let's just say you get 20 in session at once. Again, I had 16 and my space was a little bit under 200. I think I could have done it better if I could do it again. let's just say 20 in a session max because you set things up nicely. You're running 6 sessions a day. That means you can train 120 clients per day. The industry average attendance is not 100%, by the way. So not everyone turns up every day to every session. It's closer to 80%. So it's ballpark, and we'll say 140 members you could have signed up if you were killing it. Now, if you capped memberships at, say, 4 times a week, you could ensure your sessions aren't even overbooked. Let's say you run it 5 days a week, those classes, 6 sessions a day, 5 days a week, or maybe like Monday to Friday, 6, Monday to Thursday, 6, Friday, 4, Saturday, 2, 3, 4, right? You could have 140 members signed up and you wouldn't overbook the sessions. So let's say your membership is $50 per week. Okay, so $200 a month. So you're looking at about $7,000 per week there at capacity, which is around about $30K per month, of course, with that. So cool. We got some good ballpark figures. Talked about expenses before. Profitability is going to come down a little bit to how many sessions you're running yourself. Okay, so again, if you want to run all the sessions, you pay less staffing. If you want to run less sessions, pay more staffing. Run more sessions, less staffing. Makes sense. So that's going to determine exact profitability. Let's just say you ran 0 sessions. You have a team that does it all, and you pay about $8,000 per month in wages. Again, let's say you got 3 trainers running all those classes, and they're doing all the stuff you want to do. You don't want to do any of that stuff. You'd be looking at $6,000 per month original, maybe now $8,000 of that. So revenue's $30K per month, and you don't run sessions, so you're about $16K net profit monthly, right? Not too shabby at all. You pay a bit of tax on that, all right, before the tax man gets to it, but just keep that in mind. So that would be one, but let's say you, hang on, $6,000 per month original expenses will be $14,000, and you don't run sessions. Or if you love training the clients and you want to bring expenses close to 10K, you could take home maybe $20,000 per month, again, before the tax man gets it. If you want to train less clients, you'd probably save $4K a month on wages if you wanted to be in there for 30, 40, 50 hours a week delivering. Totally up to you, again, what you want to do with the business. Maybe you want to go PT focused. Let's do the same numbers. 100, 200 square meter facility again. Let's say you got 4 trainers you work up to. They're doing 30 hours a week of PT each. $100 an hour is what they're paying. That's $12,000 a week. Okay. Now, realistically, you lose about 30 to 50% straight away of that to trainer wages, of course, before we do those numbers of 12K a week, which sounds pretty cool. PT wages, these can range anywhere from 25 to 70 an hour, as they say. Pay peanuts and you get monkey. You get monkeys, right? So I duplicated that. Sorry, when I went through that, it didn't seem right. Let's actually work off $80 an hour with the trainer. Let's just work off that number a little bit simpler, or just more realistic. $80 an hour people are paying. You make $9,600 a week. You're going to lose some of the wages. You've got to pay your trainers. All right. Still with me? Good. Let's say you're paying $40 an hour for wages. You got 120 hours to deliver, so you got to pay $4,800 per week in wages. Let's just assume that includes your super. Okay, on that, yes, you got to pay 10% super to everyone. Let's assume it is. So what's your profit now from the sessions? You profit $4,800 per week, which is about $21K per month before tax, of course. Okay, so let's do that one more time because I sort of got a bit lost all in there. You got 4 trainers doing 30 hours a week of PT. That's $80 an hour. At $80 an hour, you're doing $9,600 a week. Wages, $40 an hour, for example. 120 hours times 40, $4,800 per week of wages. Your profit's $4,800 per week. After all that, about $21K per month. So again, we can make that work. Let's know the numbers. We know what we've got to charge. And we've got to get to 120 hours a week to be at that point. At least we know it can work. Okay, as I said, PT, it's actually, in a certain extent, easier to get total revenue, but profitability is a little bit different. So, now we're making that same profit, approximately $15,000, $6,000 base expenses plus $21,000 per month from PT, right? So just you're making 21K profit from the PT. You've still got 6K from other expenses, similar to the group. So just to give you 2 examples of like reasonable targets you can be aiming for pretty quickly in terms of profitability and getting this to go. So just examples to get your brain thinking. Again, you could do some hybrid stuff. You could charge more or less for PT, more or less for groups. Just giving you some examples to play with as you do this and set the vision for the numbers. I'm telling you all these price points are realistic because I've done it. I know how to sell it. But again, you can always add more PTs. You can do hybrid. You can run how many sessions you want to run. There's ways to do it. The key is to future project these numbers in advance to know the profitability. Okay? You're not going to hit this this is not to launch with. Know where it's going to go and have that vision. Okay? I've worked with gym owners who charge $30 a week with 150 member capacity and $2,000 a week expenses. So again, this is that dangerous middle. Even at capacity, and they ran every session, they'd make like $2,000 or so before tax. And trust me, there are better ways to make money to make that much money than getting up at 5 a.m. 6 days a week and working your ass off. So project the numbers, get super clear on it. You've got a good idea of potential expenses. You know now what you can charge for groups or PT and what that's going to look like. Really important. Get your brain thinking. It looks like David duplicated another slide because he's a goose. But you always want to know how you're going to win. Okay, learning how to sell and position yourself. Sorry, let me make this almost seem separate. You want to know how you're going to win. Learning how to sell and position yourself to sell relatively higher prices, like premium group and premium personal training, solves a lot of problems. Okay, knowing how to charge groups at that $50 to $60, $70 a week mark is awesome. If you're doing bigger groups, smaller groups, like $90 a week, awesome. You're going to go PT, $80 to $100 an hour at least. People charging $30 a week are just not confident enough to go to $50 plus per week. Okay, and trust me, these people, the ones I coach, I tell them they need to, or they're going to drown. So play with these numbers. I know there's a lot to take in there, but have a bit of fun with those numbers and start mapping out where you want this to be, maybe 12 months after opening, and get clear on that. Look at the profitability and get excited by that because you really need to. So yeah, I smashed through all that. And what I'm doing now is we were doing this live. I'm going to see if there's any questions in the comments, and I'll answer any questions that might have come up in the meantime. But that was really fun, and I hope you guys liked it. Alrighty. It doesn't look like I actually have any questions from those who join me live. So hopefully they could all hear me. But if there's any questions, I'm going to give a few seconds to go through the Q&A with all that. If anyone does have any questions. But that was pretty much it for this first module. It's about getting clear on the visions, about getting clear on the numbers. Will we go over how to approach real estate? That will be in the next lesson. So question just then was, will we go over how to approach real estate? Next one, I'm going to talk about actually going for real estate. What do you want to look at? How do you talk about negotiating leases? We'll go over all of that. Yes, thank you for asking, Jess, in the comments there. Yeah, I almost did all that straight away, but just this stuff is good to map out, even if this just feels like you're not making any progress because it's just a bunch of like thinking or writing down numbers. It can feel like you're getting nowhere. That's okay. Just have this baseline understanding of what you're doing. And then next time, yes, I'm going to talk about, cool, let's go talk about how do you get real estate? How do you negotiate leases? I got stung pretty badly on one of my leases I signed, and I'm paying a lot of extra money I probably shouldn't have. And if I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have done that because it was just ridiculous. I shouldn't have done it. But anyway, I'm paying it now, and that's what happens. So yeah, we'll talk about that. If there's any other questions, guys, in the comments, last 1 or 2 minutes. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up. Good to know you can do it with 20K not a bank loan. Yeah, so people are pretty shocked about that. Now, again, I ran it pretty bare bones. That was the question, guys, by the way. It was, hey, pretty cool to know you can do it with 20K without taking out a huge loan. Yeah, I did it very bare bones. If you came to my gym day one, there was not that much crazy stuff happening, but I stand by. If you know how to train people, you can help people with a lot of equipment. Most general population people don't know the difference between a $200 squat rack and a $10,000 rig. To them, they're just like, whatever. Yes, things like clean, like amenities, yes, people know, but the actual training stuff, it doesn't matter. And if you just sell people like, yeah, we do a lot of body weight stuff here because using body weight is one of the best ways to burn calories and get your strength up and stuff, that's cool. And you can always add in equipment later. And you know what's really cool? When you've got clients and they see you adding in equipment and they're like, huh, I see, this is pretty cool. Now that we've got these new machines come in, now we've got these cardio machines, now we've got this. It's actually exciting for them. It's actually really exciting. So yes, but he's getting a loan, good, then yes. Okay, another question. Jess is awesome. You save your questions right to the end. If you're aiming for older clients, would you recommend other ways of marketing instead of social media? No, don't think of it as like one or the other. I'd still do some social media, but yes, older people, you're gonna probably find them in different spots. If you ever go onto Facebook, once you get to about 62, 63, it's pretty damn empty. It's pretty steep drop off, about 59 to 60. Whenever I market to ages, I don't really go above 55 to 60 because it drops off very steeply, 59, 60. Once you get 60, 63, you're pretty much no one. So depends what you define as old, Jess, is another important thing there. But yes, what would be the other ways of marketing? You're going to want to do more old school methods with them, like flyer drops would probably work with them because they're actually probably opening their mail still. You could go and do some joint ventures with other businesses that work with that demographic, right? Or you could go to RSL clubs and run, hey, I'm going to do like a free workout for the RSL club. I'm going to do a talk about healthy nutrition with aging. That would be more the ways I would be going about getting a little bit more older clients. And I'm assuming for older, you mean like 60 plus when you say older. 40 to 55, No, they're on Facebook. And they're actually great because when those people are on Facebook, they scroll at about half the speed of everybody else. Whereas if you ever see like a 22-year-old on Facebook, Instagram, they're like, whammo, whammo, whammo. They scroll at the speed of light. So you can actually, it works really well. 50 to 55, Jess, I get a lot of clients on Facebook. A lot of clients' Facebook ads works really well. Not so much Instagram ads. Most people have over about 45. Instagram's a little bit like they've got like 7 followers and following 8 other people. They don't really use it that much. But 50 to 55, you can definitely hammer Facebook. Probably late 50s just. But then I would also say, yeah, you want to start doing some other methods of finding where those people are and then showing them why you're different. If you want to niche and specialize down, then yeah, you're going to want to start your business to attract those people as well. So if you've got a gym that's got like a bunch of 23-year-olds in active wear and then like 52-year-olds in their baggy clothing who are really self-conscious, like you're gonna have a bit of a disconnect. So you don't want to be too much of the same. You don't want to spread it too much there. So keep all that in mind. If you're going to go a little bit older, cool, go a little bit older, and your marketing might be more spaced out. But if you want to hit like a 23-year-old, like yeah, Instagram ads are kind of where it's at for them, and they're very much like social proof people. If they see their friends doing it, they'll go do it too. So yeah, I'll leave it there, guys. Just if you have any last questions, hit me. Otherwise, we'll be live again next week talking about the real estate stuff, talking about locking in facilities, locations, timelines for like, cool, we're going to, get your lease. It's going to take a couple of weeks now to get things going, to set up, but you're going to start marketing, then you're going to start getting equipment coming in. I'm going to talk about, I guess, all that timeline of starting out and how you go all that. So, cool, guys. Hope you thoroughly enjoyed that, whether you watched it live or watched the replay. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. And looking forward to the next one. And, yeah, I hope you guys took a lot out of that. I'll see you next time. Bye.